Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the morning. It is Monday. It is a new day. Before we get started, I just want to make an announcement. Andre and I will be getting married, so from now on, this will be a full-on LGBTQ woke channel. So plan accordingly. Correct, Andre?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I'm the maid of honor, I believe you asked me already.
Yes. But you're not wearing that dress because it makes me look fat.
Yes. And Culture Casino has finally agreed that he will be reviewing the full Rebel Moon from the can.
That's probably actually going to happen, though. Yeah, of course it's April Fool's, the day you don't believe anything on the internet. Oh. Good morning, everybody. In fact, Culture Casino isn't even really here.
There was some really good April Fools on Twitter. I was enjoying some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I saw that Elon Musk was taking over Disney. Isn't that right, Culture?
Well, he's going to be the chief DEI officer for Disney.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we also I watched one of my friends that's a journalist get a little caught off guard today. So so just do yourself a favor. Take everything with a giant tablespoon of salt today.
Oh yeah.
Especially the announcement that Tom and Andre are getting married.
Well, it's the best I could come up with.
Yeah, my wife would have issues with that.
Well, I mean,
I've picked up my dress.
I said as long as it's not the one you had picked up, because it makes me look fat when you wear it.
Hey, Andre, you can have a little on the side.
I'm a lot on the side, though.
Yeah, you tell that to my wife. So,
anyway, of course, that's an April Fool's joke. We also have with us Script Doctor. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. Just dotting the I's, crossing the T's on the contract that Nelson Peltz gave me for Disney. So
yeah, I saw that. You could have come up with something more believable than that.
I was congratulating him, actually.
Definitely not wanting to do anything that would be too believable.
Right.
And here I am, the adult in the room that doesn't do April Fool's junk. So
yeah. And then we got Paul Chato here, who I can't imagine will come up with something to get us all.
I did. I posted something. There's no point repeating it here.
I didn't even see it.
So Paul, you're talking about Carrie Ann Moss. That's the babe, right?
He's talking about Moss Man.
See, he's got his name title thing says Moss is a babe.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say Paul.
Yeah,
Chato.
Moss Man.
I don't think that's it.
It's a babe.
I don't think so.
No.
Not
Moss Man.
No. Carrie Ann Moss, from Matrix.
Correct.
Yeah.
Carry on my wayward son.
Hey, you know what? At least she knows plenty of martial arts, so she'll look really good in Kung Fu Wars star thing.
Kung Fu Wars star.
Kung Fu.
Yep.
Yeah.
And were you the one who reported that Acolyte 2 is not happening?
I was one of a few people that said Acolyte Season 2 is not happening. Yeah.
I don't even think that's an April Fool's joke.
No, that's a real. That's a real. That's a real.
I think
That's a real
April Fool's would be it's on.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can make. Yeah. Like, well, and look, I mean, if they're having trouble pulling the trigger on getting this, Star Wars Mandalorian film off the ground. I mean, I really do believe Disney's killed off every single franchise that they've bought. I think that Marvel's clearly in decline. Star Wars is dead as doornails. Indiana Jones was, like snuffed out before Disney even got a hold of it because it made that really dumb fourth film. But I know it sounds like, I'm a little down on it, but I am, because Lucasfilm's dead and everything that's tied to them's dead. Did you saw what they did? They murdered Willow.
Oh, yeah.
Technically, they saved Willow because that series doesn't exist anymore. So we still have the original movie.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. They took a page out of
they did the one thing that people that fans wanted them to do with the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, and they did it for Willow. They decanonized it and removed it from the world so that only pirates have copies of it.
The least significant franchise of the three.
Did pirates even really care, those script? I mean, really?
Not many.
Not enough, I guess. Yeah. We'll see. It may be lost forever, and that could be only a good thing. That's true magic, I would argue.
Oh, that's a tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It preserves Willow's integrity. It's actually the best thing you could have.
Well, speaking of integrity, we have some super chats here. So let's get to these, because Packing Protons was very generous and sent us $10 this morning. It says, do you think someone will have to do a wellness check on Iger in a rare 3-shower day? Peltz gets on the board Wednesday. Iger will never leave that CEO spot at this rate. He's in there like a weed. Well, I think what we're seeing here, and what we learned from Valiant's report on Friday that started spreading a little wider after that, Bob might not be in as good a shape as he's trying to pretend he is. And I don't think that the company has as much confidence in him as they used to. What do you say, guys?
I haven't heard any reports on Bob's health, so I'm a little...
I'm not talking about his health, but yeah, I'm just talking about the chances of him winning this now. I thought he was in the bag, and then now it makes sense why he's reeing out there like, no, ignore Peltz. He's nothing but trouble.
I think it's interesting when you have industry trades, Hollywood trades, basically saying that the era of the invincible Iger is over, which was a story that came out last week here. To me, that is very, very telling and indicative of Hollywood not necessarily cutting ties completely, but letting go and accepting that change is coming, and that their false idol, Bob Iger, wasn't all he cracked himself up to be in the end, because he let them down. He fired a bunch of them. He hasn't turned the company around, and now he is publicly waving in the DEI course, although it remains to be seen exactly what's going to be done in practice.
Well, the three aspects of his legacy, or any CEO's legacy of Disney, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you've got the parks, you've got real estate management just in general, and then you've got your entertainment platform. So I'm not entirely familiar how well he's managed the parks or the investments, but from the entertainment perspective, really all he's managed to do is buy other properties and then let them die on the vine over time. I don't think I've ever seen any initiative from him on a Disney level. I mean, like a Walt Disney level scale. You know what I mean? Something.
I'm glad you brought that up, because he has actually done. Sorry, I did not mean to intercut, but I just
no.
He has done one more thing as well. He has bought other things, and he has elevated, or the fan demand has elevated them. He did, or others did Marvel very well for him. But what he did in the process was let everything that Walt himself had created languish.
Good point. Really, really, really good point.
Where is Mickey and Donald in popular culture right now, other than merchandise? Yeah, you had like this animated Mickey series that hardly anyone saw, with that ugly CalArts animation. You had a DuckTales revival that went for 3 seasons, I think, with that same animation, which was very well written, I will grant that. But that's kind of like all there's been. Where's Donald? Where's Mickey? Where's Uncle Scrooge? Where are they in popular culture? Where is a big animated epic adaptation of the life and times of Uncle Scrooge by Don Rosa? They have such a library of Disney properties that they have just let languish completely. They have eroded the Disney brand in favor of acquired things. That's Iger's true legacy.
Yeah, and the acquired things. Well, we I think we've documented it pretty well. Disney was always a company that was internally generated their creative products. Then they brought in these companies that were ostensibly external, and they couldn't deal with it.
Well, they dealt well with it until they brought them completely in house. I mean, Pixar is an example because you had creative leadership. Yeah. But you had creative leadership that you brought in that helped not only Pixar flourish, but also the Walt Disney Company started to get revived because you have one man that really knew what he was doing. Well, two men,
and that was the intent originally.
Yeah.
And then they decided that he's
woke,
not going to be the new Walt.
Well, woke politics were a problem, and they needed to be investing their time and energy into woke politics, and that hugging a little too long is an interesting conversation. But
it's amazing to me out there the number of people and outlets that are fighting the notion that there's woke politics out there, that it doesn't exist or doesn't exist to the extent that we claim it to exist. It is really quite extraordinary, especially when you start looking at what's happening with the gaming industry, right? Yeah. It's amazing. People don't really, the number of people who don't believe that it's a cancer on all of this stuff out there, it astounds me.
Well, let's keep moving along with these super chats. We got Marks 11-7B who sends in $1.99, says Mr. H was right. Spaceman is a great sci-fi drama. Well, glad to hear you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
And then we got Dr. Longdongler sending in $1.99, and I'm assuming that's a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. Then we got Angela Richter gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much for that, Angela. We appreciate the support. In fact, tomorrow we'll be having a membership stream at about this time, so hopefully we'll see you there. STR Red will have been a member for 18 months. Thank you for that. And sends in a super chat saying, Hail Midnight's Edge in the morning. This year's revision demo party was more interesting than what Disney had to offer lately. A lot more creativity there. Oh, what's the revision demo party? I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Say that again.
The revision demo party.
I don't know. I think it's
demo party. Leads me to think it's something to do with gaming.
Revision demo party.
Let us know in the chat.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like March 29th through April 1st is the world's biggest pure demo scene event and will take place from March 29th to April 1st. I have no idea what this is.
It sounds like game demos is what I would speculate.
Something like that, yeah. It's not real specific here. But eWork. No idea. I'm not a gamer.
History.
Well, either way, hopefully it'll be awesome for those who are attending. And with that, let's move on.
Okay. And then we've got C-Man here who says congrats to Script Doctor on his new role as the head of Marvel.
Thank you, C-Man.
Would you take it?
Would I take it? No.
I just I thought I'd ask.
It's a lot more than
I would say that
capable.
depends on what are the surrounding conditions, though. If the intention is to fix Marvel, absolutely. If the intention would have been, okay, come join us. This is how we do things here. You're now expected to do that. Please instantly add your pronouns in your email. Then that might not be such a hot deal, and
that's not going to happen the way
not
they expect
necessarily
it to.
that's great for your career. Like I don't know, the people who did She-Hulk and who did Echo and who did all that other stuff, are they really that big in demand in the industry?
Well, they weren't to begin with, and they aren't now. So
that's what I thought, because you would think that something like that would make them in demand. But that didn't happen, did it?
No, not in the ways that they were expecting. And if they are getting work, it's not at the pedigree of what Disney self-advertises around town.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's do a couple of more. Callum Lyle says for $5 Australian. President is a degenerate. Since when was Easter a trans day? Actually, hold that thought, because we may get into that a little bit later in the show. For now, let's see. We have John Apocalypse has been a member for 18 months. And Pinochet's Helicopter Tour says for $2, Paul, gaslighting is required for loyalty to the party.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works, isn't it?
Yep.
And with that, let us move into the first topic of the day, which is this weekend's box office. So, Culture, what happened at the box office this weekend? How did Monkey versus Lizard do?
Well, Monkey plus Lizard against Scar King, or whatever the new monster's name is. But it did very well. I mean, it set a decent record, $80 million domestically, huge, on a $135 million budget and probably $80 to $100 million promotional campaign. This film is off to a good start because worldwide we are just under $200 million opening. Huge numbers, but domestically, in only 3,800 theaters, Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire did an average of $20,000 per theater and $80 million in gross. So,
I fucking knew it! Oh!
Indeed, and you did.
I was going to go see it, and then I saw reviews from some of my favorite people, and I went, you know what? I don't think I'm going to waste my time.
I've heard similar things, but a lot of people have said it's very, very fun.
So. Yes.
Well, and we want fun movies. I mean, I want fun movies, but bad reviews or middling reviews aside, this film did perform. Now, my concern is, and maybe I may not be the only person here, is that this massive opening weekend will lead to a steeper fall next weekend. So,
probably more than likely.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, I really wanted to see it, and I knew it was going to be dumb fun. But then I stayed at home and watched The Edge of Tomorrow again.
There you go.
That's funny.
I don't. Is there even anything coming out in the next 2 weeks to compete with this thing?
On the 12th, I think you get Monkey Man, and then you get the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
No, this thing is going to do just fine. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be okay. It's not going to have a dent in it, really.
Okay, well, look at what happened to a slightly underperforming Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which comes in second place here on the box.
Frozen Empire isn't the new MCU. The Godzilla x Kong is. Like, you guys got to see. Like, I've been saying this to you guys for over a year now. Look at it. $200 million opening weekend. That's the kind of money that Marvel used to bring in.
Right.
I have to agree with Tom on this one, that these numbers are actually really well, but let's see what happens next week. What I see, though,
Right.
I'm
Is that
happy.
from
Don't get me wrong.
from the ones that I know who are into these movies. They're not for everyone. They're not for me. But from the people who are into these movies, I see positive word of mouth from them. So let's see if that is enough to hold it up. But either way, what was the budget of this thing?
135 million.
135 million.
135 million. Okay, yeah. So then this one is doing relatively okay. Then 135 mil budget, 80 million domestically, 200 million worldwide. Those are fairly decent numbers. I mean, it would have to collapse completely from here on out in order to not work out for the studio. If it just does middling affairs, they should be perfectly okay with that, I would imagine.
Sure. Like I said, again, somewhere between an 80 and $100 million, promotion budget. This thing's, halfway to getting at least to its costs. We'll see. I still think it's gonna I think it's gonna hit just like an MCU movie, a steep fall off next weekend, despite the fact that there's limited competition. I think the people that went to go see this, much like a superhero film, went and saw it the first weekend. And I don't know, Tom, you've seen it. I didn't even get a chance to. Every time I tried to go to the theater, something held me up. So I will ask you, Tom, and you're talking to somebody who loves monster movies, is this worth seeing twice?
Yes.
I
Wow.
saw it as well, and I don't love monster movies, and I don't love these movies.
Okay.
And I can see why people who are into these would see it twice.
This is everything Superman versus Batman should have been.
It's a fun, non-woke movie.
Is it like, here's the biggest thing I think people are making the biggest mistake with this movie. Comparing it to -1. You are comparing two completely different
you can't compare. No,
see, and I think that's where some people are making a mistake here. But just about everybody who's gone to see it, is it big dumb fun? Yes. But the operative word is it's big fun, right? Like it is nothing but fun for 2 hours. The humans they've been listening to us. They've listened to their audience. Like I said before, they realized fairly early on that the audience for this is much more broader than they initially expected it to be. And the kids really love dinosaurs and monsters. And guess what? They realized, oh crap, we got both of them in here. And kids like the toys. So they started gearing it more towards kids. Now at this point, we've been bitching about the humans. The humans in this story literally are there to get the monsters from point A to B and explain to us what's going on. They do nothing more, right? So they have streamlined the humans down to next to nothing in these movies now. So they've gotten the formula down. They keep doing this. I think they'll be fine. Is it going to make $1 billion? Like I said, I don't know, but I think it's on a good trajectory too.
I don't see happening.
No, but it still could do at least close to it.
Okay, so Tom, would you agree with Andre's assessment and maybe a little bit of what Paul was saying, that these films are sort of niche films?
No, this is like the new. No, I mean, I get what you're saying, and yes, there's going to be some people who don't like it. Guess what? There were some people who didn't like superhero films either.
I understand.
I don't think that these are going to attract as many as.
No, not as big, but this is the closest thing you've got right now.
That could be, but as culture says, that's still a little bit of a niche, though. I mean, it's like I don't see that this is going to. I don't foresee a time when these movies are going to break, for instance, 100 million at the opening weekend. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, this is looking more like it's going to be a Warner Brothers year right now, because in the top 5 spots are 2 Warner Brothers films, both of which look like they're on the trajectory to actually make profit.
Yes.
And the rest of the slate that they have, although not as huge, looks like they're going to be pretty well balanced with regards to audience participation. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, actually, and again, I've got a video coming out later today. It talks about all of that and all of these films in detail. But the reason that I'm pushing back on Tom isn't because I don't love monster movies. Tom knows I do. But it's because I still feel like the people who went to see this have already seen it. And there may be some that go back to see it.
That's my guess.
And you guys might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but there was a lot of people who said the same shit about Dune.
Well, Dune limped across. Well, let's talk about Dune. It's in third place. We didn't really give much pause on Ghostbusters, but Dune 2 finished at 11,350,000 this weekend, bringing the total domestic to 252 and making the global exceed 626 million at last I saw. Not sure if that estimate's official yet, but that's a lot of money for a film that's been out there for 5 weeks. One more week and it may be off to streaming, VOD or
I think it's
PVOD
got
or
long.
whatnot.
They're going to hold off on that.
You
Wonka
think so?
just hit max.
That's true. Yeah, that was
I think they're
closer
going
to
to hold
that
off.
traditional. You think they're going back to a traditional 90 days then?
I think Zaz, especially for these films that are playing in the theaters. In fact, I think if anything, right now they're kicking themselves for releasing these movies so close together, because now they're just competing with each other for IMAX screens.
It's probably true.
Yeah, you're probably right.
And Dune has held. This is one of the reasons Dune has done so well. I talk about this on the video I did, but Dune is doing very well because it's hold on to the premium large format screens, and it's the eighth highest grossing IMAX screen and IMAX film in North America in history.
Also, it's a film that suits large format, like Oppenheimer. I mean, there's a lot of movies that are being shown in large format. You go, really? Why would I go see that large format?
Right. No, I'm with you. The films like this, and perhaps even the Godzilla x Kong film and others, have to be shot in that format, or it doesn't matter how you see it. You can see it in in that, or it otherwise there's no purpose. So you're right. But regardless, that's some of Dune's success is it's been able to benefit from, a huge total coming out of IMAX, and the fact that it was able to hang on to those screens. It's the same reason Oppenheimer, got a little extra boost, was because it kicked out, Mission Impossible before it could even get rolling. But look, revisiting Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is, it's 2 weekends in, and it made $73 million. In 1 weekend, Godzilla x Kong made $80 million. So, it's, even if it has a similar fall off of 60% or more, which I anticipate, Tom, I know you don't want to hear that, it's still going to reach well over the $100 million mark domestically, even prior to the weekend would be my guess. So yeah.
And Sony should be kicking themselves right now that they released this movie too early.
Yeah. Or too late.
I believe they would do that. Yeah. Well, whether it's too early or too late, it was definitely the wrong time, because they just got steamrolled and stomped over by a big monkey and an even bigger lizard.
What I said would happen, exactly. And that's the thing that's sad most, is the chances of us getting another one now are slim to none. And I agree. If they would have just held off on this, they probably would have done better to do a few more test screenings, and then it probably would have helped the film.
Which film are you referring to, Tom?
Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Because if they had held it off till summer, they could have ramped up the demand for it. It's the 40th anniversary of the film. It's the 100th anniversary of Columbia Pictures. Ghostbusters for years was Columbia Pictures' highest grossing film of all time. They should have done that. It just would have made more sense. And then also, if they would have done some test screenings, it might have helped edit the film a little bit better. As it is now, I can't disagree that it does feel like 2 or 3 different edits combined. And that's the movie's biggest problem, in my opinion. But here's the thing that goes along with that. Dune, Godzilla, what I'm seeing there compared to what, Ghostbusters goes along with the report that we put out last week. That if you guys haven't checked that video out, please do. It's a great video that Andre did. Because we're actually going to be, I think, expanding on that story, because there's more that goes along with it. And that is that kids, they don't want old properties. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk next to Godzilla and Kong for a second here, and I'll tell you why. And same thing with Dune. Yeah, they're not new, but they're new to these kids, right? They are theirs as far as they're concerned, right? See, that's the difference here between that and something like Ghostbusters. They don't care about Ghostbusters. It wasn't theirs. Ghostbusters was 20, 30 years old by the time these kids were born. But Godzilla and Kong is theirs. Dune is theirs. You know what I mean? Like, that's their thing they can get into. Wonka, that's why I think that did so well. You got Timothée Chalamet. He speaks to this generation. I don't know what it is about him, but he's got that Johnny Depp thing going for him that, the kids just love him. But
he's cute.
And I think that's why movies like Ghostbusters and some of these other ones are going to fail coming up here. And it's sad we may just have to move on from them. There comes a point where sometimes certain properties just can't move on from the past, or they're never going to gain a new audience.
I think I can hardly wait for the live action of Nancy and Sluggo. That's going to be huge for the kids.
Well, let's put it this way then. Ghostbusters was a franchise that, if we're completely honest, we had all written off since part 2. We never thought there was going to be any other until we suddenly got that remake no one asked for. And then we got Afterlife. I mean, that's a bonus movie right there. And we're now in the second bonus movie with Frozen Empire for a franchise that, if we're honest, outside of merchandise and an older fan base with their memorabilia, was commercially dead. Like Ghostbusters was on overtime already.
Well, ask yourself, because I agree with Script. Had this been placed in a different window, would it have performed better, and would it have been able to hang on to, the box office longer? The answer to that question seems obvious to me. Yeah.
That's Sony's fault. Yeah.
I suggest, they even releasing this earlier in February would have worked rather than
honestly, and I've said it, and this was a stupid move for them. They should have pushed Bad Boys 3 off, put Ghostbusters in its spot, because there's nothing else but Despicable Me in that same time period. And I think it would have done 10 times better. In the middle of the summer, when nothing else is out there, people would have went to see Ghostbusters. You got too many other options right now. The kids would rather go see Dune in the IMAX, and they'd rather go see Godzilla. They don't care about Ghostbusters when they've got two of the most popular things in their world right now. Because then again, I say, yes, Kong and Godzilla are old as shit. But guess what? This franchise is theirs. They grew up with this. Most of these kids did.
It's been consistent, yeah.
Yeah. Last 10 years, we've gotten, Kong and Godzilla movies here.
And you've had reinforcement from Universal in their theme parks. So all of those things are
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, Tom, I'm with you, but I'm telling you, I think this thing falls off like a superhero film.
It might. It very well might. I just think it doesn't have any competition. The only thing it's doing now is competing with Dune for the bigger screens. That's what I see.
I think
so. It's a win-win for Warner, but it's also kind of a loss that if they would have just held Godzilla off like 2-3 weeks, it probably would have been better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But either way, it is what it is now. But look, Warner is the winners right now between Wonka last year at the end of the year, which most of that money is going to come in for this year, because that ended its run at $600-some million.
Yeah,
pretty close to. Yeah, I mean, again, that's your bookend to their phenomenal Barbie take, right?
Yeah.
So you got that.
They're making a big comeback
and everything else.
Oh yeah, the beauty of that is they probably could write a lot of that off from the year that they actually produced it, 1966 exactly. Or whatever it was. Oh, speaking of Flash, did you hear that Ezra Miller got shit canned from his animated show?
His voiceover gig? Yeah.
That was done around the time Flash happened, and I only heard it as a rumor, but now they confirmed it. Someone else was doing his character's voice in the show that was just released.
That's insane.
Yeah, and I'm glad Megan J pointed out. This is why people still want Zaslav removed from Warner Brothers. This is what I remind people every time they bring that crap up, especially when it's surrounding like the Snyderverse stuff and all that stuff. It's like
so dumb of people wanting that.
You think they're really going to fire the guy who had the biggest movie of the year last year?
Well, he's got the top 3, and within 6 months, has got the top 3 performing films at the box office.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Wonka at $631 million when it left theaters this last week. In fact, I saw you talking about that this weekend, Tom, with Valiant and Pro and Mexican Iron Man, actually. But I mean, $631 million is a nice take for Wonka, especially with its production costs. And and I'm wrong occasionally on films, and that was one of them I was wrong on. But
and he's managed to weather the storm of having to leak out the remainder of the superhero films that he inherited. Mm-hmm. That was like a painful year.
Just a fire sale, essentially.
Fire sale, and knowing that each movie was going to be worse than the previous, and none of them were going to gross more than Black Adam.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of this really weird controlled bloodletting that he did. He put films in there that were going to do okay, and then these complete trash fires.
But
I mean, technically, Aquaman 2 grossed more than Black Adam. It was the second highest.
Just cost more.
Yeah, cost more. Just its second highest in box office take after the previous highest one, which was Aquaman. So between Aquaman and Aquaman 2 and all the movies in between, those are the only two that actually broke.
Yeah, the biggest problem right now, and bless Warner Brothers' hearts, and that they're behaving like a studio.
Right.
They're putting out a variety of films. Some work, some don't. Now they're getting that mojo back and it should never have happened. Disney, the DOJ should never have let Disney buy Fox. Ever. Like that was terrible, because Fox was another studio that behaved like a movie studio. Disney, the best thing they could have done right now was to resurrect Hollywood Pictures or whatever, their touchstones, and just say, guys, go out and make film. Like, just be the Warner Brothers, be the Foxes, be what you were before. You created Splash. You did a lot of really good movies, because Disney's not in the movie business. They're waiting for their massive franchises to kind of restart their engines. It's not happening.
No, because they're in the IP business now. That's the problem, Paul.
And that they needed to do that. 3 Men and a Baby. Come on. All that legacy stuff that you did that was fantastic.
Mighty Ducks, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, all that stuff.
Yeah, they've lost the ability to make films, and then they absorbed Fox, and now have killed that. It's the most ludicrous thing. Why the DOJ allowed that to happen, I don't understand.
I don't even understand why they soaked them up the way they did, because frankly, when they bought them, I thought what they were going to do is kind of leave them on their own autonomy to continue doing what they were doing.
That was the smart thing to do.
Right. It's like, treat them like they're a separate studio.
Absolutely.
Yes, all the money goes to the same piggy bank at the end of the day, but that was the beauty of Hollywood Pictures and Touchstone and Miramax and Dimension, was that most people didn't realize those were Disney, especially Dimension and Miramax. Like, I remember telling people back in the day, oh yeah, by the way, you do realize that this is a Disney movie while we're watching Hellraiser 4. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, this is a Disney movie. Disney released this. Clerks, same thing. Pulp Fiction. Disney released it. Yeah. It's like, they used to do that all the time. They had tons of movies throughout the 90s. Like, just take away even the Miramax and Dimension stuff. They still had a bunch of other stuff, like you mentioned. And they did have this, and I've made this joke before, but it's freaking true. They took their live action film department, and all they do now is remake their animated films. Nothing else. And they have done nothing else other than Haunted Mansion in the last 5 years.
And interestingly, Haunted Mansion, a movie which bombed completely at the box office, which looked woke as hell from the advertising. It wasn't. It was diverse, but it wasn't woke in the slightest. It actually had a very pro-family message.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't watch it because I couldn't see it. It's that dark, like literally. Because I tried, but anyway. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this next weekend box office goes. I'm sure there will be a drop off for Kong and Godzilla, but I mean, I'm getting a lot of positive buzz for it, because I've been one of those people that's just been like, you know what? It's dumb fun. Yes, but it's fun. And I enjoyed myself. I felt like an 8-year-old kid watching it. Like, if I was 8.
And I think we want those kinds of movies to be nominally successful, at least. I mean, that's even the Ghostbusters one. That is a movie that you would hope is decent, because it returns us to the way the box office operated earlier.
Yes. Make fun movies to pay for the ones that are more artistic and risky, but are also on a lower budget.
Well, and that's what Disney did the live action stuff for. They would make the Homeward Bounds and the other stuff to help pay for the expensive animated features, right? Like, that was kind of the whole point of that stuff.
Yeah. We got a couple of super chats on the box office before we move on from that. The Willybot, been a member for 9 months, and used a member chat saying, don't fall into the trap thinking that a film needs competition to fall off. No one needs to go to the cinemas for entertainment.
Totally true, Willybot. Totally true. No, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, like, right now, the buzz is with this movie. I think it'll do fine in its second weekend. I could be wrong, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it's going to go as steeply as some other films have.
Well, I don't think it's going to fall as deeply as Ghostbusters, let's say.
Right.
Dragon Balls GT89 says for $5. I saw the Godzilla X Kong movie and I had a blast. Finally, we got the kaiju movie with the kaiju as the star and being the main characters and not background.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, you get a good almost 20-minute stretch where there's absolutely no dialogue. And the whole story is from Kong's perspective. But I mean, I just brought this up here to show you, like, I mean, they clearly know what their audience wants. Look at that. That's the kind of ratings you want to see on the audience side of things. Fuck the critics. The critics don't sell these movies.
Well, this is no different from a genre movie, zombie movie. I mean, this is a genre. And I think Ghostbusters could have been genre too, if they could have fixed two things. Number one, get us to believe that the baddie ghost really had some
teeth,
like we believed in the problem that it was going to create, and they had to get away from every movie. The big baddie was going to destroy New York, all of it. Like,
also, there was another big baddie that the movie needed to get away from. Callum Lyle says it also failed because no one liked Oswald. Okay?
Luckily, he's only in the scene you've seen in the trailer, so
yeah.
They
put it in the trailer.
Unfortunately, they did. Only in ours for some reason. In a lot of the foreign trailers, he didn't show up in.
So they used those ones domestically. Might have helped a little bit at the very least.
No, this was a snafu on all different grounds because I mean, it was even pointed out something I pointed out too. You have two different anniversaries this year that they fucked up. Bad Boys' anniversary is technically this month.
You're right.
Okay.
But it's 1995, but still, it'd be the 29th anniversary or whatever.
When's it coming out?
June, and then Ghostbusters' anniversary was in June, and they brought it out now instead. So they flip-flopped these for no good reason. And like I said, they should have just held off.
Hey, look,
Bad Boys
Disney had the 100th anniversary and didn't do anything with it.
I don't
know.
Sony isn't faring much better with that.
To basically like set those notifications that you get for like birthdays and stuff like that. They need to set them for like 3 years in advance, so that they have some kind of advance warning. Oh shit! Important date coming up here. Because it's
kind of hard.
As simple as that.
It's kind of hard to honor your past when you're embarrassed by it.
Yep.
See, that's the other problem they have right now.
Not embarrassed. You hate it.
Or hate it, actually, you should say. Yeah. They actually revile it and they want to change it. That's the problem here. Because we've said this many times over. Sony's doing a few things, but they could be doing a lot more. Like they're releasing all the Spider-Man movies every Monday this month in theaters and some other things. But they could have done a hell of a lot more for the 100th anniversary. Same thing with Disney. Disney makes absolutely no sense.
No.
Like we've all said it. We've all said, like, how did they not? We should be just inundated with it's the 100th anniversary of Disney shit all year round. Like we should have seen, Snow White and Pinocchio in January, and every month after that, 2 of the Disney classics released every other week in theaters.
We should have seen more Disney stuff than transgender flags and classes.
Absolutely. And it all could have led up to December when they do release the new film that would have been the one that they released, the stupid Star one.
The Wish one, you mean?
Yeah, the Wish Upon a Star movie, yeah.
Yeah, which was a disaster. Studio ending disaster.
And the sad part is the idea is sound. I think Script even said this too. Like the idea is ripe for, the picking. They just went completely fucking woke with it. They didn't even try to emulate anything Disney-like.
It's so funny when the villain of the movie is actually the one who's in the right.
Well, and these are the same people who just made Ursula Ariel's new aunt in that animated series. Did you see that, guys? That's the other one that they're...
Oh, did you see the coverage that was that Mr. H did on the new Little Mermaid animated series on Disney Junior?
No. That's what I was talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They made Ursula the ant in it.
But she's an octopus. Why would she be an ant?
Maybe she just identifies as an octopus. Or maybe she identifies as the ant.
These are the
Which one of Ariel's cousins have squid legs,
Yeah.
Ants are insects. They only have 8. They only have 6 legs. Sorry.
Holy crap, Oli. Paladin Jock sending in $49.99. Please, Andre, do us the pleasure.
Yeah. The Paladin Jock says, sending a super chat from my new YouTube handle and channel. You guys partly inspired me to start a while back. Oh, thank you. I've retired dark apathetic, though my Star Wars apathy remains. Tom, I figured one more middle-aged Wisconsinite ranting on YouTube couldn't hurt.
Oh, you're from Wisconsin. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the YouTube's Paladin Jock.
Or yeah, that's right. Well, he's rechristened him. So he's got something new here.
Yeah.
Well, good
Don't
luck.
dead name him.
No,
I don't even know. Yeah, he should have let us know who he was before. I have no
funny.
idea who it was.
Darth Apathetic.
Darth
Apathetic. Oh, that's right. I've retired Darth Apathetic. Right in front of my face. I didn't sleep well last night, and I blame my cat.
No, you can blame Star Wars. He does.
That would be a funny thing. Dead naming your YouTube channel. That's funny.
Well, depending on which YouTuber you are, that might actually be a thing for a great many. But while we are on the topic of Disney here, let's.
Well, actually, let's grab this because this is actually on the topic that we were just talking about. Dark King sends on an Australian too and says, "Paul, Americans can't pronounce ant properly." Yeah, ant, yes. Depending on where you're from, yes.
Yeah. And to round out the box office, Callum Lyle said, the activist Fruit Flies complained that GXK isn't gay enough. Screw them. But also with Monsterverse, I'm glad that they don't tease sequels.
I don't know about that.
When they do that.
Godzilla and Kong look at each other longingly quite a bit through the movie. They even dance at one point like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. So, Paladin Jock actually sent in a follow-up to that too, Andre.
Yeah, and he said, lastly and most importantly, Andre, where does Kvelertak stand in your Euro metal hierarchy? Thanks for the hours of entertainment and laughs. Keep up the great work, guys.
Thank you, Paladin Jock.
That's like the Norwegian. Like, I'm familiar with them, but I'm not like detailed familiar with their music. I'd have to do a detailed ranking. I have to listen through several of them to find out exactly where they stand. But I think that of like all of the Norwegian extreme metal bands, Kvelertak, which means chokehold, by the way, I'd place them. I can't get any more specific, but certainly in the top 20. No higher than that. Top 15. Top 15 somewhere. Yeah.
And before we move on to Disney, Dark King wanted us to say, given the state of NYC, can we let Godzilla win?
And we can invite him there, have him come to have his sleeping party in New York instead of Rome.
Yeah, is the stadium big enough, maybe?
It should be.
Might
be too big, though, not snug enough.
Yeah. Well, if he fits, he sits.
Yeah. Script, you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's Madison Square Garden, there's Yankee Stadium, there's the Mets Stadium. Yeah, he's got places he can.
Zilla does have a history with Madison Square Gardens. At least one version, anyway.
Yeah, the Emmerich one.
Yeah. But all right, let's get into the Disney news because as a Vengeful Dragon here says with 14 South African rands, Iger is a petulant child, won't handle pelts on the board. So yes, this is big news this week. A lot of stuff going on for Disney, right, Andre?
Indeed, this is the week where it all goes down, where the shareholder election happens. That actually happens on Wednesday, if memory serves, and we should know fairly soon what happens with that. And what's so interesting is that this thing right here, it has taken on the level almost of a presidential campaign.
It has, hasn't it?
It has, absolutely. And I have a story that I want to bring up here just to illustrate that point. Now, it's from Business Insider, and so maybe it's just for me, but the US site was blocked like crazy, at least for me. But the Dutch site worked very well, so let's mirror from there. Disney and its rivals are breaking spending records for this week's shareholder fight, which is basically the same thing as the marketing campaign any presidential candidate would use. Here you have basically Disney, who are spending shareholder money on promoting Iger's shareholder picks, while Trian are spending their money, which is fine because that actually is in shareholder interest. But let's see what it says here. Disney's proxy battle is expected to cost the company and rival hedge fund at least $70 million. I mean, that's a good presidential campaign right there. 70 million. So let's say that it's split evenly, meaning that they're both going to spend like 30 to 40 million.
Whose money?
Well, shareholder for Disney. This is what
Jesus
should be pissed about. This is shareholder value that Bob Iger is spending.
That's what I figured.
To keep a shareholder off the board. How amazing is that? Moving on with the story. That's because retail investors make up a big chunk of Disney shareholders, and it's expensive to reach them. The outcome of the shareholder vote could change Disney's direction, but its impact is still uncertain. And of course, then they go on. Maybe I'll do a video on this later. We all know the gist here. The big takeaway is that between the two, at least 70 million have been spent. And I'm convinced that Disney has spent a hell of a lot more of that 70 million than did Trian. Because look at what Trian did. They obviously have very intelligent people who have very high hourly rates, working on doing presentation after presentation after presentation that is being put out. Like, I'm sure there's done some influencing, some PR management that doesn't come cheap. And then look at what Disney has done. Well, exactly the same for one thing, but much more lobbying, much more buying-friendly press, and also they did this whole animated special where they had like this Austrian duck whose name I can never ever remember, but that animated stuff that wasn't cheap to make, and then they've sent it all. Basically, this is like a presidential campaign. And of the two, I'm sure that Disney has spent the most, and they burned shareholder value doing it. And again, it is just to keep a Disney shareholder off the board and to prevent him from being in a position where he actually can get insight into what the hell the board is doing and access to the books of what the board has been doing in the past. Isn't that interesting? Script. Why is Disney burning these money to keep a shareholder away? What say you?
I have no idea what they're trying to do from this angle. Actually, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. Mr. Chato, you have a bunch of corporate experience as well. What's your take on this? I mean, you've done everything. I mean, you've done game development, you've done nuclear physics.
Yes.
Surely you must have been involved in some kind of proxy fight and some similar campaign stuff like this. Has anything approached this level? Have you ever seen a company this desperate to keep a major shareholder off the board?
Well, I have seen it in Toronto at major companies here because I worked for Fortune 500 companies. So while I was not privy to the actual goings on, when you're servicing these companies, you hear this stuff, right? And again, for the most part, we've talked about it before, the CEO works at the behest of the board. And I think what's happening here is they have agreed with Peltz's pitch that there needs to be diversity on the board, diversity in thought, at least, right? Political position. And they've gone, yeah, this is a rogue board that Iger has assembled. And in a weird way, I'm just wondering why he's fighting it. I'm wondering whether he's fighting it just because the board wants to fight it, because there's actually a huge advantage for Iger to have Peltz on the board.
I can think of one advantage. Which one were you thinking of?
Well, because I think, okay, I'm going to say something that's going to get a lot of people angry. I don't think Iger's a stupid person.
No,
And
obviously not.
He's not. And I think he is a capable leader with proper direction. And it'd be very interesting to have a Disney board that can actually provide him with better support. And I think he would do a better job. So I'm actually thinking he's fighting the fight on behalf of the existing board and perhaps not for himself, because he'll kind of go where the wind blows.
As all weathermen do.
There's a good, nice.
But that also goes to the point that for years, Iger has been getting bad information and running forward with it. Whether that's through the board, whether that's through his staff, the people that he selected, and
so he's forth. A weatherman.
Yes, meteorologist at large. But Peltz could definitely be the counter argument to some of the advice, and maybe he could have better supported data. And if that's the case, then it all comes down to, does Bob want to admit failure and manipulation on his ego side of things by letting Peltz come in and steer the ship a different way for him or with him?
Yeah. Culture, do you think it's that simple, or could there be more to it?
Oh, I think that I think Iger's been on the wrong side of things for a very long time. I think for the better part of 10 years. I think his book kind of helped to expose him, his ride of a lifetime, which I'm now calling the collapse of a lifetime now. But I think he was headed the wrong direction for a long time, and he was listening to a lot of outside money. And instead of being, cautious and heading the business in the right direction, he headed it into a very political one. Now, that speaks to his political ambitions, and that's why this does seem to reflect a political campaign. This is kind of his political campaign that he didn't get to run for president. That's what we're dealing with right now. He wants to keep control of his board. His little fiefdom, his last opportunity is a kingdom. So, but look, we won't know any of this until Wednesday. We know that the last vote will be cast at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Tuesday. We know that, trying to defend this hard against two minority board positions, because that's what it'll be. If it's both Peltz and Rasulo, which I don't think it'll be. I think at most we could hope for would be Peltz. But if we do end up with Peltz at the end of the day, people are asking, what kind of splash does he make? Well, he makes a splash in that if they're doing anything illegal, he can protect himself and other shareholders by dealing with it. It is a lot of things that we've speculated why they would fight so hard to keep this cadre together, these very corrupted owned board members on this board. And it's that unity of thinking that you guys were all talking about. Is it that simple? No. Can Peltz actually make a difference? Well, that's speculating. I would say not a significant one, at least not publicly, because once he's on that board, he is not going to be able to share things that would get him in trouble with, the government and or the company, which will get him sued. So unless it's something illegal, and we've speculated that that's a possibility, that's something else entirely. Somebody suggested that he could call for an audit of the books. I would be in favor of that. Some people have suggested that, it won't make any difference at all, which I disagree with. But if the company goes south, maybe it gives Iger somebody to point at. But if it goes south because of the decisions that Iger's been making, then that's something else entirely. But all I know is that the limited increase in the value that the stock has gained is all on the shoulders of Peltz and his efforts to do this proxy fight. Otherwise, Disney stock has zero reason to have gone up. There is nothing out there but phantom announcements. And even now we're finding out that a lot of those phantom announcements are even being pushed back. I don't anticipate anything Iger said to actually come to fruition, whether it's theme park expansion or not. And I don't think any of the film projects that have been planned around Star Wars have even actually started. The only thing that I know for a fact that I'm going to get to see is some really disgusting version of Kung Fu Star Wars on Disney minus. That's all I've got.
And here's the thing you said there.
Here's one thing.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Carry on. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say what I learned more recently, or at least what I became very clear to me after, Friday's report, that Valiant dropped on here first and foremost, guys. Just keep that in mind. I got to plug Midnight's Edge when I can. I was like, wait a minute here. So that makes so much sense as to why there's been so much resistance, so much time and effort spent to try and squash Peltz as nothing but a nuisance, right? Is because now it's become abundantly clear. Bob Iger is scared as fuck.
Yeah, he's terrified. No doubt.
He is terrified. He knows the storm is coming now. He's a weatherman, all right. He can see it coming. He just don't want to tell anybody else. And we know now. And I'm sure that people are going to get really pissed about this leaking out publicly. And the fact that they're spending all this money now on some campaign makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah,
this is not looking, but to me, it makes more like you guys were just saying, like, especially culture. Like we've said this before, it would make more sense for him to have him on the board so he can keep him on a leash. His resistance makes absolutely no sense, and it's probably why he's losing this fight.
I think many see that, and if he were to win, like, there's two things. One, as culture was alluding to, and starts the teaser for an upcoming video that we got coming here. Peltz would be able to see what's going on behind the board, and Iger may not want anyone to see that.
Yep.
Let's just say that if Peltz were to find evidences of fiduciary duties being overtly violated, that wouldn't be great, would it? But let's just say that doesn't happen, that he comes in and everything, and he just does his best the way that he says he's going to. What's Iger going to do? Iger now has a new scapegoat. Because remember what happened when Chapek was in. Iger has been publicly bad-mouthing him and undermining him the whole time, and been blaming him for everything that's wrong with Disney ever since. If this were to win, as long as Iger is on that, is in the CEO position, if Peltz gets in, he's gonna blame everything wrong with Disney on Peltz, and he's gonna undermine him in the media and everything like that. So this is gonna be a wild ride, no matter what happens. At least I certainly think so. That would be in Iger's character to publicly undermine and then blame Peltz for everything that goes wrong, even if it's Iger's own time bombs that are detonating.
Yeah, and I think Iger recognizes that people are hip to his noise. I mean, you've got they've had the weakest defenses coming out in the last 2 weeks when ISS came out there, Institutional Shareholder Services, and said, and mind you, even in Bob's book, and I think you pointed this out in a video, Andre, that even in Bob's book, he acknowledged that they actually control up to a third of Disney's stock, or at least as far as their influence can levy that much control. And then you have obviously Egan Jones coming in and supporting Peltz. So you have both ISS and then Egan Jones, and then just a day or so ago, CalPERS, California's pension fund, coming in with about 6.65 million shares. As an investor, CalPERS represents one of the top 30 investors that own Disney. That's a lot, and they are supporting Peltz. This is telling you something. It's not just the compensation person that they're going to be removing in favor of Peltz, Maria Elena Lagomasino. It's going to be, kind of the opportunity for them to, bring compensation under control and to compensate Bob like a studio rather than as a tech company. And at the same time, you'll be able to, control succession with, fully vetted candidates that maybe understand the job that they're getting into. Because right now, the board is comprised of people that are 100% on board with all the neo-Marxism of stakeholder capitalism. And that's from the top down, from the chairman of the board himself, who is the chairman of Nike right now, Mark Parker. This guy is corrupted, and there isn't a forced labor position that he has never loved. There you go. Anyway.
Yeah, that's Iger's friends right there. And that is indeed the big issue. All of the people that are backing Iger, they're all big on stakeholder capitalism.
Yep.
And that is detrimental to shareholder primacy. which is what every single one of Disney's shareholders should stick to, and also it is what the law goes by. Because stakeholder capitalism, or however much you may hear about it, really it's a rich person's hobby. It's nothing legally binding. It's true.
Well, and it's also not within the legal bounds in here in the United States. We do have something called the rule of law in every aspect of life, and right now, in the investment world and through a lot of these interests, these shadowy interests, they're forcing their agendas and their ways of trying to control everything. Stakeholder capitalism is a way of controlling everything. It's only the capitalism only benefits them and not, the larger, broader populace. It also doesn't represent the fiduciary duty that you're obligated to fulfill,
which instantly makes it illegal.
Yeah.
And that I think is a very, very interesting thing to come out of this. Perhaps most interesting. And I think this is just my theory here, but I think that's the real reason why Iger and the board is so terrified of Peltz coming on the board. Because if he were to come in there and he looks into the books, he just might find that what Disney has been doing is practicing stakeholder capitalism.
Yep.
At the expense of the shareholders, meaning that Iger and every single board member would be guilty of violating their fiduciary duties. If that were to happen, culture, let's just hypothetically, let's just say that crowds were to find evidence that presumably hundreds of millions at best have been lost because of stakeholder capitalism in direct violation of fiduciary responsibilities to the shareholders. What kind of repercussions would Iger and his entire board be looking at for that if that were to come out?
The mother of all lawsuits, the mother of all jail terms. I mean, some of these people could be in a lot of trouble.
We could be looking at actual jail time here. We could.
Yeah.
These are outright criminal offenses.
Yeah. And again, that's why I've said this forever, and you know what, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how, but maybe I am. That this is they've been doing things illegally for such a long period of time and committed a number of financial crimes for a very long time that, if somebody were to get in there that isn't, aligned with their ideologies, that would be the end of most of these people, and maybe a lengthy list of people that are no longer with them. I think, I think one of the reasons that they wanted to get rid of Chapek is because he was tilting towards going down the right road, and they absolutely couldn't have that. This extends a long way. Look, the institutional shareholders that control so much of Disney stock, like Vanguard at 8.3% and BlackRock at 6.7%, State Street at 4.1%, Morgan Stanley at 2.6%, State Farm, by the way, insurance folks, they control 2%, and Geode Capital Management is almost 2%. Trian comes in just under 2%, 1.8%. So those are the big ones. Everybody I just mentioned are the huge ones. Individual shareholders control maybe a third of actual shares. If they were paying attention and aren't just passive investors, what happens if they turn in their proxy card in favor of Peltz? That's a good question. But if you're seeing some of these large scale shareholders put all their money in the pot, and push it towards Peltz, then I have a feeling this is a lot closer than Disney feels comfortable with, which is why you're seeing such desperation out of Disney right now. What's interesting is Disney found another way to get sued by another investor, because Blackwell's went at him late last week. Blackwell's is,
let's run through that, because last Friday I unfortunately got caught up in the bus, and I had prepared that title in the show description, but I wasn't on the panel to properly run through it. So tell us what's going on with Blackwell and Disney, because I thought that was a fun one.
Well, Blackwell's is suing Disney because they believe that they had unrepresented ties with Value Act, who they recently signed a deal with. Now, Value Act used to manage funds for Disney up until very recently, and then all of a sudden they didn't, and then they became a party to an information sharing scheme. I'm going to say it that way. None of this was properly spoken about, presented, acknowledged by Disney when they entered into these agreements. So yeah, Blackwell's decided to go right at them, and they're asking a judge to force Walt Disney to hand over records about its relationship with Value Act Capital Management. So yeah, and by the way, the guy that runs Blackwell's, Antiabi, I believe is his name. If I'm not mistaken, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm Tubby. That's the guy. He has a slightly shady reputation.
Yeah, he's also got a litigious reputation as well. So this guy,
those go hand in hand.
They do, and he sues a lot of people. So, I mean, he sued a hotel for forever, if I remember correctly. But regardless, this is one of those times when if Disney didn't do things the proper way, it does expose them to these kinds of things, a records request, and we'll see if that comes through at the 11th hour. We could find that out today because it is of some urgency, considering that votes stop at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. So
indeed.
Anyway.
So yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this before we move on, Paul?
I have none. I think you guys have properly covered it to the best of your abilities.
Yeah, as much as we can before we actually get a vote in there. Script, any final words?
No, I think all well covered and said.
When's the vote?
Perfect. Then let's.
Oh no, the vote's being cast now.
Now,
but,
right?
But all balloting stops. All voting stops at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, and again, I mean, there are people who aren't going to vote their shares. They'll withhold their vote. You'll have you'll have people that will vote different slates. You'll have people that'll vote for Blackwell's candidates and leave 3 off of of Disney's preferred proxy. But like I said, the Peltz one, the primary person they're targeting is the compensation lady, Lagomasino. And none of the people that are on Disney's board, with the exception of 2, you could make an argument for the elements that Disney looks for in a board member, which is hysterically funny. Oh, one of those things, by the way, 360-degree brand activation. That, whatever the fudge that means.
We got some brand activation right here. Changer of Ways Bebop Boop says for $2. Acolyte Kung Fu Panderverse. Yeah, indeed.
Boom.
How that's for brand activation. And Peanut Chase Helicopter Tours says Tom didn't update communism is good .execute. Disney did. Yeah, indeed. Gabor Churke, is that how you pronounce it? Says for 1,000 Hungarian florins. This studio's real value, not experts who work there. If they fired for DEI, basically Warner Brothers by nothing, just empty studios.
Walt Disney.
Yeah, Walt Disney. Oh yeah, of course, Walt Disney.
And just so you know, if it's Gabor Churke, but if it was Gabor Chirke, then it would be chicken. He's one letter away from being Gabor Chicken.
But it was Gabor Churke?
Churke.
Churke. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm glad we have a Hungarian speaker here. That's perfect.
Iger.
Yeah. Bless you. Now, you would actually. Well, here's the thing: with the real value in the studio is divided between the people who work there and the brands. And unfortunately, a company like Disney will sometimes forget about the people who work there. That the Pixar brands, for instance, really ain't worth all that much without John Lasseter there to ensure that the magic is still there. Unfortunately, these are qualitative entities and properties not visible on a quantitative spreadsheet, which is what Disney is using. That's a big part of the problem.
Well, buying into corporate culture we worked for Penske in the United States. You've never seen an organization like Penske. I don't know what they're like now, but you walk into their head office and every individual is wearing a white shirt and black pants, and they got a tie. They don't have jackets on, but Penske was running that like a military organization. Like, it was really snappy, clean. People's shoes were nice. Like, there was, you had no choice at the time. I don't know what it's like now when we were working for Daimler, but Disney, you walk in there, it's a daycare.
Yeah, compared to many other things, I can absolutely see that.
So what are you buying when you're buying a company? You'd almost have to get rid of everybody in the place.
If you want to get rid of the culture, yeah, absolutely. And moving on, Mexican IronMan makes an official announcement today, April 1st. For immediate release, Mexican IronMan to sell tax financial services business to become full-time YouTuber and pursue stress-free life of YouTubering. Yes, absolutely, you should do that. There is no stress at all whatsoever. There's no requirements of constantly producing. So yes, do that, and good on you. From producer to creator, you'll never regret it.
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to tell you right now, don't make that decision. Oh, wait, that's an April Fool's joke. I'd figured it out.
Yeah, and Pinochet Helicopter Tours wonders that the Austrian duck, did he happen to be a failed painter?
With an interesting mustache.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some of those paintings actually ain't half bad. I think that the Austrian Institute of Art did a big mistake in not letting him in, but that's a different matter altogether. Chaosonic says for $5, in the vein of Nero and his fiddle, Bob Iger took a shower while Disney burned. Yeah, I actually took 2 of them in one day.
At least.
And Valentine's Tube says for $2, here temp Chato. You see there were 11 yet? Go well, and then a peace sign. I trust that this must mean something to you.
Okay, I'm not sorting this one out. Here temp Chato, yes, see they were 11 yet. Go well. Okay, I'm not understanding this. I'm sorry. Peace. Oh.
Would
it have something to do with racing, maybe? Or is that the other guy that used to bring that up?
Never have anything to do with racing.
Maybe it's
something else I was thinking of.
Could it be temperature?
Oh, it is almost 11 degrees here.
That's probably what he means. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, Celsius. They were 11 yet. Go well. Yeah, maybe.
There we go.
Chato. Okay. Yes.
Oh, Celsius. Yes. See, they were 11. 11 degrees Celsius, maybe. Yeah. There we go.
These are fun. Actually, we need more of these.
And he clarified anime film. There were 11. Okay.
Well, then I was completely wrong. I was like deciding. Okay, well, language of of weather.
Temperature was far more fascinating, right?
Yeah. That was fun.
I finished watching season 1 of Solo Leveling. Oh my gosh! Season 1 ends on 12. They're up to 11. I'm waiting for the 12th one, and it's a really good version of the well, it's not a manga because it's Korean, so it's manhwa. Man, it's really good. Yeah. Loved it.
And then we got fun one before we move on. Elijah Snow quotes Iger. Look, so I know that we spent the military budget of the Czech Republic on our film, but hey, at least it was good for the stakeholders, right? Yeah, indeed it was. And then let us move on to the next topic here, which I got here behind the scenes. If you all give me a second to boomer it. because I never start on these things quite early enough.
While you're doing that, Elizabeth Young sends in $9.99, says, "It's my birthday today. Could Bat Tom wish me happy birthday? Love you guys." Well, I think I can wake him up.
Oh, I missed you today, Elizabeth.
While he wakes up, happy birthday, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Hey, Bat Tom.
Yeah.
Got a birthday, dude.
Yesterday was Easter. I partied way too hard.
Oh. All right.
Drank way too much booze.
Okay, so do I get a discount on today's fee?
Fuck no. You get charged double.
Okay. Well, we do have a birthday, Bat Tom. So
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I hope the Easter Bunny didn't bring you poo. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Bat Tom.
And Daniel Hall in chat said that Solo Leveling 12 was dropped this weekend. So I'm going to turn off the chat now. I'm leaving now.
Oh wow. Okay then.
No, I'm okay.
Oh, we got a good one that I think you're going to enjoy in the meantime here. Namely, that EA-owned Bioware is in full agreement with the Biden regime, declares Easter as Transgender Day of Visibility.
Yep.
Because, this is something that came out yesterday on Easter Day itself, where the Biden regime decided that this was a great opportunity to signal some virtue and to really show their openness and progressiveness by creating a Transgender Day of Visibility, which, after my count, is the third Transgender Day in a calendar year, because we already have the Transgender Day of Remembrance, and then I think that there is one more, and they had to work a little bit to find a good time for it, so it would kind of even out a little bit on the calendar. I think maybe Pride, maybe like the final one, maybe I'm not entirely sure about that. But be that as it may, so someone who were very quick to agree with this, and this comes to us from that parkplace.com, so shout out to John F. Trent, is Bioware, the EA-owned developer, who were very quick to head on to X and say that today is #Transgender Day of Visibility, and the T community have always been a part of our worlds. We're proud to support them both within our games and in real life. This, of course, is just the latest of Bioware signaling their virtue this way. So, Mr. Chato, I know that you're a gamer, so you probably are familiar with this studio. Are you going to run out and buy games in support of Bioware right now? And what have they even released?
Well, the last one was the oh god damn it! That's my brain is gone. It's one of their games. I forgot what it is. It was just released Baldur's Gate. And that's a pretty spectacular game. So, I mean, I don't really care what they say as long as the games are good. And really, ultimately, that's all that we should be reporting on. The fact that, some games have been a failure because of, all this DEI nonsense. Is it because of, or is it just a happy accident? But they've always been a fairly good developer, a Canadian. They were a Canadian developer. I don't know if they still are. They were based out in the West in Calgary, started by a couple of doctors, ironically. I met one of them. I'm a huge Bioware fan. But this, again, this is now being part of a giant corporation and doing what the corporation is telling you to do. Now, frankly, from my perspective, I think what would be novel is not Trans Visibility Day, we should have Trans Invisibility Day. Just like give me a couple, because we're having more, I think, visibility days than invisibility days now.
You just stole my joke. I was going to say, what do the trans need a day of visibility? They always stick out like a sore thumb.
Well, I mean, it's just this nonstop rainbow of stuff now all year long.
Every day already is Trans Visual Awareness
every
Day.
day is Trans Visibility Day now. Like, we can't get away from it. We need a couple of we just need one Invisibility Day, please. That would be fantastic. So you know what? I think we have to be very careful about this and not tilt.
Yeah, we do, because we're on YouTube, so we do have to be very careful here.
Yeah, we do.
And I'm being positive about this in the sense that every single thing should be based on the actual product.
Yeah.
All decisions made on the product.
Speaking of Day of Invisibility, won't be today because Mulvaney dreams of making a trans legally blonde version, because Mulvaney wants to play Ellie Woods. Of course, that doesn't mean that this is going to happen.
For
it
them,
means that you're not getting this day today or yesterday. So yeah. But let's move on to the actual story here. Cultured. Do you feel like running out and getting any Bioware games anytime soon now? Do you think this kind of virtue signaling is going to do well for their shareholders?
Well, they already pissed me off and got rid of me back when they released the last oh my gosh, the name just fell out of my head. The game was called Andromeda. When they released that, I was done. It was garbage. Yeah, Mass Effect. Yeah, Andromeda. Yeah, I was out of there. I'm not. Look, it's so easy for me to avoid game studios now because I own such a vast array of games, and I have various different consoles that I go back and replay and enjoy every time. I go back and play Mario 64 on my 64 regularly. So I get enjoyment out of stuff. I can skip all the new garbage. I can go to the independent market that we have, via Steam and find games that have nothing to do with the modernity that we're suffering under right now. I'm just why be complicit in continuing the propagation of this garbage? Just stop buying it. Your wallet speaks volumes. Look at what happened after they dropped that crappy Saints Row game over there at Volition. It guaranteed not only that Volition would fail, but that every game is now suspect. And at least it led to the, exposure of things like SBI and, everything that's, that Park Place is suffering under right now, as far as the cease and desist letter that they were given by Black Girl Gamers. So, look, if these companies want a surface level virtue signal that hard, then they clearly don't need my money.
Well, the studio behind Forspoken died after Black Girl Gamers consulted on that. Now, whether there's a correlation, again, we have to be very careful what we're accusing.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
We have to be very careful what we're accusing. What accusations?
Well, we don't know what their involvement in the game was. Well, we do know from their website they talked about consulting on it, and was it their decision to take the really good live black model and then make her ugly in the game? Was that their decision? We don't know that, because she's a beautiful woman in real life.
When you hire on any of these companies or any of these consultancies that are really, let's invent a problem so we can invent the solution, so that we're the solution. When you bring on any of those entities, you've already indicated your belief structure.
Yeah. True, but
but
I do see where Paul is coming from, though, because going back to the Xbox video that we dropped just a couple of days ago, and if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely check it out. I do believe it's one of the most important videos released on Gamergate 2, really going into detail about what is going on and why companies like Sweet Baby Inc. and Black Girl Gamers exist in the first place. But as we saw there, and as Xbox have revealed themselves, there's actually two things going on there. One, they practically mandate the use of companies like Sweet Baby Inc. Because even if you have black developers working for you, hell, you can even have a black game designer working for you, and that's not going to be enough for those people, because one person cannot speak for everyone, not in that sense. No, you need a company. But irrespective of that, you can't also have pretty women, because that's an extra point there, and this is for the developers. You don't actually need the Sweet Baby Inks and Black Girl Gamers of the world to come in and uglify the female characters. That's one of their mandates already. Have you made sure that the woman is appropriately dressed for whatever she's doing, and that she's a proper girl boss, and that she's uglified to high heavens? Of course, they don't actually use those words, but that's a completely separate point from the you must use horrible consultants to destroy your game. It's the point of you must destroy your own game anyway by making all the men wusses and making all the women inbred girl bosses. So they may not be guilty of that. Like, they may want to put a black chick in there, but the game company was going to be forced to make her gay and ugly anyway. If you catch my drift.
Yep.
I think that's the point that Chato was making.
Yeah, and they're doing it over and over again.
Yeah, but
I want to make one correction on Baldur's Gate. That it's the one that's really good that came out now was Larian Studios.
Right.
Why Larian Studios did it and not BioWare, that I don't know, but the original Baldur's Gate was a BioWare product, and Mass Effect, the first 3 games, I'm a huge fan of.
Yeah, and for some
I had
reason,
a brain fart there. I could not remember what games they made. So
yeah, to my recollection, Paul, and I could be wrong in the chat, can correct me, I'm sure, but I think Larian has walked away from further development of Baldur's Gate in the future.
Right.
That story came out not that long ago, but I do know this, that the guy in charge of gaming over there at Microsoft, Phil Spencer, is acknowledging that the reason that you're seeing so many layoffs in video games is because of lack of growth, because they're driving their audience away.
Right.
And so, that's going to delay development of new consoles, which, you know what, Microsoft's Xbox is a dying console anyway. They know that. That's why they lean so heavily into their pass system that they have over there, so you can play it on your PC. So you're starting to see them, come to grips with the fact that these decisions that they're being forced to make because of their ideology is hurting them. They letting go, 1,900 people or whatever it was, 800 of those being, folks that just, showed up from Activision Blizzard, that's just the beginning of it. They're dropping terrible games now. They're involved in studios that are dropping terrible games. And no, people aren't buying things just because it's new. I'm not. Should a video game cost $70 and require constantly connected? Should I be then forced to fund the game further through microtransactions? Why are games a service? See, these are all questions that I have yet to have somebody answer appropriately.
Cut down piracy.
No, and look,
that's one reason.
Sure, but it would also, but it creates an unsustainable burden, and it creates an obsolescence to whatever it is you're providing. I think that legislation should be drafted that you cannot provide software as a service. You can't. I think that is, if you cannot force obsolescence on something that somebody has paid money for and has ownership of.
It's Microsoft would billions of dollars.
I know, and we need to stop that.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think that Microsoft's lobbyists are gonna not let that happen. Just consider the entire Office package right now isn't a product; it's a service because it's an annual subscription thing.
Yeah, and then again,
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
actually.
I think it would prevent companies from setting up online services and games that they can just stop supporting.
Well, the car
and
companies want car options as a service. Oh,
Yeah.
you wanted the heated steering wheel, then you have to pay us a monthly fee.
Yeah, that idea of subscription service to that kind of thing.
Isn't that funny?
No, it's not funny.
No, I mean, funny in a tragic way.
It's funny in a, you know, the postal way. So
let's go with that. And let's move on here to conclude the super chats on this area. Obduello says for $2, Baldur's Gate 3 is not EA Bioware, it's Larian.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I did correct that. Thank you very much. That was maybe that's why it was so good. No, that's not fair. The original Baldur's Gates were great. I mean, but the new one is fantastic. And Larian is out of. They're not doing it anymore.
How much time did you spend, you know, with that bear situation there, Paul?
None of your business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Doesn't mean the guy you met at the bar.
Oh no. Oh no.
But on that note, Hypergiver 2 says for $5, the Woken LG Ultimate High Definition TV people have 138 calendar days that force normals to celebrate them. They can, they can kindly move away. So yeah,
go fund yourselves.
More people are going to feel that way, because that's what happens with this level of overexposure. Chaosonic says for $5, BioWare was already corrupt even before Gamergate 1. In fact, it was one of the canaries in the coal mines in wokeness in gaming.
And I'm on board
they
with
were
that.
One of the first studios that were bent over by Anita.
Well,
yeah, well, she's strapped on, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, easy now.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Yeah. And Pinochet's helicopter tour says for $2. You see, Sweet Baby Inc. victim Remedy gave an award to Helldivers.
Yeah, that was a gag. What was that? And my son told me about that. Anyways, yeah.
I'm I don't follow award shows all that well, but thanks for the notification. JB Spooky Reviews, been a member for 8 months, saying, just like movies and TV, the best video games ever made have already been made. No point in watching or playing anything new that comes out. Well, you never know, though. I mean, you could have said that about movies way back in the 40s. And look what happened since. So
yeah, we'll have a rebirth. Tom and I talk about it all the time. I think most of us here on this panel, including Script Doctor, talk about it all the time, where Hollywood has to reinvent itself. We've had a slowing in the reinvention process that should have taken place a decade ago. They always are reinventing themselves about every 20 years. They always lean into some new thing that is going to work, that resonates with culture. So, but I do agree that as of right now, nothing new that's coming out compares to what is already out there. And case in point, when I have a tiny little bit of spare time during the day, right now I'm returning to play Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, there you go. The non-Wokified remake version. Right.
I mentioned it in my video, and it's one of the things that irks me the most about the DEI gaming space. And that is, they come up with slogans that kind of sound right, but they're actually entirely wrong. So the other day, I can't remember which of these organizations said it or wrote it. They went, they said, video gaming is for everyone. And they're intimating something that isn't true. And I responded in my videos saying, no, video gaming isn't for everyone. It's for people who want to play video games.
Exactly.
And I mean, and actually a lot of people really love that point. It's a subtle point, but it answers their lie. The lie is video. And I could imagine them going into a company and making that pitch. Look, video gaming is for everyone. And in their minds, they're thinking of, multicolored people and races and ages and heights and, leg heights and whether they have all their fingers or not. And, but It's the most bullshit line.
Yeah, well, they do it in every other area too. It's the same line.
It's kind of like why you don't have restaurants that have literally every food from every culture all around the world.
Exactly.
It's like the same thing. You need to specialize.
Yeah,
But
when I go,
what makes restaurants interesting.
I've been to that buffet in Vegas. It's awesome.
Okay, well, I will say that I will.
Really a place. They have like food from
Video
all over the
gaming.
world.
It's not for everyone. Stop it.
No, but Paul, that's what all these infestors do. All these indoctrinators do. They come in and say, well, this should be for everybody.
Right.
Well, who said it wasn't for people who were interested in it? I don't need, this to reflect, your thought processes. You're not playing the video games in the first place. I don't care. And that's the same thing. I mean, it happened in sports. Well, the sports is for everybody. Well, for people who have genuine interest in playing them, sure. This job is for everybody. Well, I don't see a whole lot of chicks laying bricks. You know what I mean?
Well, this is what I said recently too. Is like, look, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Show me the video or the proof where a person said, "You can't buy that game, you're black," or "You can't buy that game, you're a woman."
There are no receipts.
Play that game, you're black. You can't play that game, you're a woman. It's horse shit. It's the biggest bunch of horse shit ever. It's just like I've said before, when it comes to nerd culture, we are very embracing when it comes to women, and I do mean that in all forms. Ladies, no.
Don't go Weinstein on us, bro. Come on, come back to the point.
It's stupid to think that there was any barrier between being a gamer if you were enjoying games and the color of your skin or your gender. It's redonkulous. And to think that these games need to be changed anyway, we've said this a million times over, just like everything else. It's stupid, especially when you're alienating your core fan base.
Yeah, make your own game. If you're so hell bent on your neo-Marxism, make your own game. I'm sure it will be popular for 20 people.
Exactly. And I'm very glad that you brought up the people pushing this, because that ties into this one from Satori, who says for £5, WF is acting like it's the world government, anti-democracy. They hate true democracy and people living freely. They want censorship worldwide. Yep, that's a complete statement.
They know better.
And those £5 sterling indicate to me that you were outside of their reach, at least for a little while longer, because the EU has just gone forward with their crypto manipulation currency that you will live under the boot heel of if you buy into it and allow for that to become the standard in the EU. You're screwed.
Fantastic. Yeah, the EU, that's one of their little pet projects. Yeah.
How to manipulate everything in your life. Well, no, you can't buy that. You've already done this much carbon bullshit for the year.
Yeah, this the E-pot in ESG is really getting on my nerves, and it's really destroying my country. I'm sure plenty others, but yeah.
And the economies of all the entire globe.
That too. Like, who the fuck knows if I'm going back there? But yeah, we'll see. And then Adam Watford says for $5, the last game was Mass Effect Andromeda, not Baldur's Gate 3. That's Latina Studios.
Larian, yeah.
Yeah, that also sounds like a good name that could easily be hijacked. Master Clockwork says, Paul, BioWare didn't make
He's getting hammered on this.
Owned by
You're too late.
WotC. Wizards
Larian was able to secure the license for one game. Well, yeah, thanks for the correction and for the support.
No, I do appreciate it.
Yeah. And maybe Casino will appreciate this. Jim Reaper says $4.99. Casino, I agree. But they've got more money than we have votes. They will never let you break that money printing scheme.
We'll see.
Yeah, and Dark King is also in agreement with you, saying, I agree with Culture Casino, currently replaying Shadowrun HQ.
There you go.
Yeah.
HK, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm like I said, there's so many games to just go out and find a good game. They're out there. Go back and play the original Saints Row games if you can. Those are brilliant. Yeah, they're ridiculous. From Saints Row 2 to Saints Row 3 to Saints Row 4, just they get more outrageous every time. Even a Canadian straight man like Script Doctor would love them.
And you know what the first one had over all of the other ones? It had the ingenuity of being the first, whereas all the others are just building on what was already established by the first.
True.
Revcor says for $10, these studios overhired during COVID, then add in these woke agenda-based games and releasing unfinished games for $60 to $70. I play mainly old games or indie games. Yeah, indeed, that's a good point. Old games are all completed. And the games that are being released, that's exactly right. They are unfinished. You are a beta tester, and you're paying $60 to $70 for the privilege, only so they can go in and complete the game over many releases over the next year before you finally have something that was ready for release in the first place.
Yeah, and I don't buy anything. I don't pre-order games anymore. I don't, even if they have all these incentives to do so. Because those incentives are just them buying time to give you the completed product. So yeah, I do not pre-purchase games anymore, and I won't. And I think I speak for now what is probably the majority of gamers in saying I won't pre-buy a game now. I don't, because I don't trust it. Just don't. I want somebody else to tell me the game's done, in good shape, doesn't have bugs, and I'm strictly avoiding the games as a service games now. Done.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
As for me, the few games that I have for the last console that I bought games for was the complete edition. Like, for instance, I got like some Mortal Kombat or the other complete edition.
Huh.
I don't know which one. It's still in the wrapping. I never opened. I never played it. It's the one with with Freddy Krueger in it for PlayStation 3. But that was complete. That's why I got it. I'm not a beta tester, so I'm not getting anything until it's a reasonably complete edition.
I'm not a beta tester. See, yeah, I blame Paul for this. I blame Paul for this, for stopping doing game development. I'm very angry with him right now.
I only got, we pitched a lot of games. We got one developed and then made lots of money, but then didn't get the royalties. So that was kind of tragic. We did one game that EA got really interested in. It was a turn-based game. But by that time, Sid, what's his name from?
Meier.
Sid Meier's from Civilization was working for EA.
Yeah.
He caught wind of the game, and because it was a turn-based game like Civ, he got it canceled.
Oh, that was nice of him.
It was essentially an underwater version of Civilization. So it not only was a horizontal game, it was vertical. It was really an amazing game. It was called Challengers Deep.
Why don't you still make
Challenger Deep? And we almost sold that to EA. That was back in 1995, I think. It was really exciting times. Just came this close, but then Sid.
See, and so now you tease me with this game, and now I'm excited for it. So will you make it, please?
No.
Okay, thanks.
It's expensive to make stuff like that. Well, so that means that. So how many games did you produce that actually got released?
Only one, but we developed 3. We pitched 3 games, and one made it and was a big hit, Jewels of the Oracle. And then, but then again, games are no different from movies. You go down to the Gamers Con and you go to the hotel rooms and you pitch and things like that. And it was great fun. And, we, came close with Challengers Deep, and then another one, Andrew 11, and nobody was interested in, but I think it's a really good story.
Yeah, cool. I oversaw 5 games myself in my game developer days, but none of those are found anymore now because they were Apple. They were on iOS and Android, and they haven't been updated. They're taken away from the store and everything. Can't find them anymore. But I doubled in that myself.
Wow, you should update them.
Going to be a challenge. Like, the whole studio was disbanded. All the developers have gone to bigger and other things and everything. So but it would be fun to maybe get back to. Maybe continue the big AAA game that we pitched one of these days. That game had no wokeness in it.
Yeah, none of ours had any wokeness in it.
Yeah,
I think that's why it never got funding in retrospect.
Well, they invented that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're actually going to put it on the Xbox, but we never got the necessary funding.
You weren't going to do it now based on those new rules. Holy crap!
Oh hell no! I'm glad it's not out there. It would have been completely ruined. So yeah, maybe we'll see if that can be revisited one of these days. Moving on.
We were trying to buy the rights back to our Jewels of the Oracle, but that became messy.
Moo Boy Moo says for $10, the new Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is amazing. I heard there was some woke stuff in it before it came out, and I found it to be unfounded. Look it up. The Tifa swimsuit images. The game is great. Thanks, guys. Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing is better.
It didn't corrupt it. Yay.
Yeah, I know that Nick from Echo and Base Network, that was the game that he looked forward to the most this entire year, which to me is like, I'm glad for him if this game actually works out, but still, that's a pretty sad indictment on the state of gaming. When
you had to go back
to the most is a remake / reboot of a 30-year-old license.
True. Yeah. I'm liking what I think it's called Stellar Blade.
Yes, that looks good, right?
That's really twisting a lot of people the wrong way. They're twisting a lot of the wrong people the right way.
Or twisting a lot of the right people the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. And then I know that Paul has to be leaving, but before you do, real quick, Chaos Sonic 1 says for $5, Paul, I only pre-order if I know for sure I enjoyed the previous game or if the game publisher has my loyalty, but even then it is if it fully wins me. Yeah, it's
I mean, there's a certain responsibility for the game developer to not just deliver a good game, but also, I call it promise of performance. You're giving them money for the next game. What was done to Fallout, for instance, Bethesda, that's not particularly gratifying. Their latest space game, Starfield, is terrible. I don't hold out a lot for their next Skyrim update. So yeah.
And then before you go, Valentine's Tube, who asked about the anime and didn't make a statement about the local temperature, says, I feel stupid and I apologize. Have a good day. Thanks.
Oh my God.
That. Come on, we're all friends here.
You're more than whatever. No, we're pretty chill here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes we have fun trying to decipher super chats. It was very clear to you, and it was clear in retrospect. So
and it was fun.
About it. Yeah, exactly. So Paul, what do you have coming out?
Well, I just did a video on Black Girl Gamers that I think covers off my thoughts on it. I tried to do quite a bit of research and went through the website and just took a look at them as how they presented themselves as a business. And that I found was very interesting, how unbusinesslike they actually present themselves. So obviously they've got connections, which is fine. I mean, you use whatever it is that you can use. Anyway, please check out the video on Black Girl Gamers. I try not to follow the herd of just people who are complaining about these things. I do try to do some research and make things my own. And that's it. And then I'm working on an appalling news. I don't know when that's going to be up, but there's lots of appalling news.
There was plenty, including yesterday.
Yeah, you're talking about Biden's day of.
They are so trying to moonwalk that back. Oh my God, they are like, the Michael Jackson moves are out there.
Really?
Oh yeah. KGP was standing at the lectern today, just trying to moonwalk the hell out of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, obviously Biden isn't making these tweets.
No kidding.
Obviously.
I think he could barely use his electric toothbrush. So he's not anywhere near any electronic gear.
I do believe that it was what Jill is maybe doing, but yeah.
Well, Jill is.
No, actually, they busted whoever it was. It was what was her name? I think
brushing Biden's teeth.
Press secretary. No, the one doing the tweets.
Wait, it was CJP.
Somebody busted whoever it was from tweeting on their own account.
Stupid thing to do. Anyway,
well, look, it's been a thing since 2009. But
anyway,
stupid to
listen,
do it on Easter Sunday.
you take care of yourselves, everyone. Hopefully, see you on.
Have a good day.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, April 1st is a holiday for comedians, so I have to take it.
It's National You Don't Believe the Internet Day, which is pretty much every day. But
bye, everyone. Thank you again for having me.
And there was one member chat, which is for you. You continue your request. London 19657 says, I identify as invisible today, but I never see myself represented in movies. Good point right there.
That's a Paul
and
joke.
Paul, thanks for being here. We love you and look forward to having you back on Wednesday.
Well, talk to you later. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Take care. And unfortunately, we are also losing Cultured Casino. So thanks for being here today. What do you have coming up?
We got a couple videos. One that I think probably just dropped. Stay here. Go see it when you're done. But no, I do have a video coming out, and another one later today on the collapse of gaming and layoffs. That's going to be fun. And so we've got 2 videos coming out, and then tonight I'm going to be hanging out with comics division after the ladies of Toxic Femininity are done. So
fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
And then, before we move on with the final ones, we have one more topic to cover, and we only have script for a few minutes, so let's go through it. The Hellraiser remake, which I, apart from the lead, thought was relatively okay, appears to be getting a sequel. Now, I stress appears because it's April 1st, and you can never trust anything these days.
I checked around, though, and even Mr. H confirmed that this is real. So
perfect. Excellent. So, yeah, Fangoria are the ones that are bringing us this story, saying that a sequel to the Hellraiser remake, which was a Hulu exclusive release, sadly, no 4K on that one, only been out on DVD, not even Blu-ray, is getting a sequel, or at least a sequel is in development. So yeah, script. I don't recall if we spoke to you about this movie and if you saw it and what you thought about it, or your thoughts on the sequel.
I only liked the original Hellraiser films. I haven't really followed up with any of the modern day stuff, even though I think some of the allegories are quite fascinating in it. But I mean, did the remake actually even perform well enough for them to warrant a sequel?
We don't know, because it was a Hulu exclusive, and there's like 2 sides to that. One, you're able to hide how it really did, but 2, you've hidden it on Hulu. No one ever got to see it in a theater. You can't buy it on 4K. You can't buy it on Blu-ray anywhere in the world. You can buy it on DVD, but only in the UK, nowhere else. So the only thing that you can see here is basically how it performs on Hulu. That's the only thing. There is no other source of revenue, which frankly is insane, because this franchise has been direct to DVD since 2000. This is a franchise that has a small but devoted following, and this is something that, had you given this like a proper boutique release, you could have charged a pretty hefty deal for it. It would sell out. It would have helped this movie. Like, this wasn't a very expensive movie to make, and a physical media release would have helped tremendously, but there was none. It's a Hulu exclusive, so how it did on Hulu.
Well, it did get an international DVD, didn't it, Andre?
I think just UK. UK only.
I mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I can't go to in the store in Norway. I can't get Hellraiser there. Can't get it in Spain. Can't get it in France, Germany. Nowhere. It's just the UK. And there, it's just DVD. No Blu-ray, no 4K. Which is insane.
But you can watch it on Disney Plus Hulu.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do. And remember, Hulu isn't available outside of the US. It's a US exclusive service. Now, of course, internationally, you have Star. I don't know that this movie has been licensed to Star. I think that for most of the world, this movie is legally off limits. It doesn't mean that many haven't seen it, but legally, it's off limits for a great chunk of the planet. And even if you have Star, and even if it's there, which I'm not sure about, I mean, even there, it's a limited audience. This is a movie they've hidden away.
Some people are saying Paramount Plus in the chat.
Well,
I was
maybe
gonna say, I
it's been
think it got a
licensed to
pretty
there.
good release. I was gonna say, I think it got a fairly decent release. That's probably why it's getting a sequel. It probably did fairly well on streaming, and it probably made them
Yeah,
some
it
money
must have.
selling it internationally. So there you go.
Must have.
I mean, Hulu has one of the better models, or at least until Disney tries to change it, has one of the better models for streaming and ad revenue collection than the other streamers.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
maybe
So it must have been profitable. Yeah.
maybe Hellraiser was profitable enough to warrant this. In which case, instead of it being a direct to DVD market item, as it has been for the last 25 years almost, it'll be a horror streaming franchise.
Yeah, I would actually want to see this in theaters, because I will say that the lead aside, I did not like the lead actress. Like, no offense to the actress, it's just the way that her character was presented was the issue. But other than that, I thought that this was, as far as remakes go, an inspired, fairly solid remake. And I would of course prefer to see, if I had to choose, I'd take a return to the original series any day. I mean, give me Hellraiser Judgment Part 2. That's a movie I really want to see. But if it's between nothing and a sequel to the remake, I'll take a sequel to the remake. It was intriguing. The new Cenobite design was intriguing. So yeah, I'm glad to see this happen. I'm surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I didn't hate the remake, but I didn't love it either. So I mean, I'm more or less okay with this. So we'll have to see how it goes. I can see a justification for it, especially if they licensed it to other streamers outside the US, and that means it probably did make them quite a bit of money, because I don't think they spent jack shit on this, right, Andre? If I remember right, it was like,
I don't remember the budget, but I do
it was
believe that
really
they
low. That's all I remember
it was
Mr. H
low,
saying. Yeah.
and that's what it should be. It's a Hellraiser movie. It has it's a niche property with a limited appeal. It can be very profitable to them relative to the budget. They just have to
14
keep the
million is
budget
what I
low
got
enough.
here.
That's right where it should be. I mean, even that is pushing it. But
Yeah, that's a little high actually. But
yeah,
I mean, you sell that to 2 or 3 other licensed streamers, you know, you've already made your money back.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Underground Files. K23 Underground Files says, filmed in Serbia. I love that. Would have seen love to see.
Goyer took 90% of the money. I wouldn't be surprised.
And it cost 20 million. Goyer took 90%. Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe.
Well, we're learning this now, that a lot of these deals, like with, you know, the streaming deals, they'll like Argyle, they literally said what happened. The movie only cost 100 million to make. They pocketed the other 100 million.
Yep.
That's the way most of these deals are. Like that new Roadhouse movie, I bet you it only cost 40 million to make. The other 40 million went into the producers' pockets.
Just part of it's the overhead, you know, or the markup, whatever you want to call it. This is what actually studios used to do to Netflix all the time. You know, we paid for this show. It's we're selling it, we're licensing out to you, and this is our cost. And if you don't want it, then we will just keep airing it on terrestrial television.
It was the same thing that happened with that Killers of the Flower Moon movie, the one with a reported budget of 200 million. Ain't no way in hell, God's green earth, or anywhere else in the 9 realms that movie cost 200 million to make. That it cost 14 million, fine, I may believe that, but 200, no way. That was a lot of overhead on that movie. A lot of people got filthy rich on it. So yeah, this happens a lot. Of course, we've heard many stories like that. But so yeah, another Hellraiser is coming. Personally, I'm excited and happy for it. I would again prefer a return to the original, but I will take this. Any final words on this before you have to be leaving us, Script?
No, that's about all I could really contribute to that topic. But thanks again for having me, guys. Always a pleasure to hang out with you all on the show and on the channel. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful April Fools.
You too. We'll get back into the super chats. Check out Script Doctor's Patreon, and you got the show coming up this week at all?
I got Scripts on Saturday show this Saturday. Last week's episode was a phenomenal one. Go check that out. We read a really good script that was written and pitched out last year, and it might actually end up making some waves. And it's a great suspense thriller in a Hitchcockian style, which is long overdue, in my opinion. And tomorrow I should have an article with regards to protecting your IP as your shopping stories. So go check out that on the Patreon tomorrow morning. With that, have a wonderful day, guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, what do we got?
Let's do the rest of these super chats and gradually round out here. Callum Lyle sent us several in a row saying, I sent Tom a video of his TMNT rant. Enjoy it on his Twitter page. I go by CLArt111. Oh, okay. Yeah, good.
I like that. Thank you very much, Callum. Yeah. Appreciate that.
Much appreciated. And Callum sent another one as well that I can't bring up the screen, but I'll say thanks for the support and lay off the guy. And then we have Hitchhiker42 who says £2 saying the Ghostbusters logo creator was a genius. Yes,
absolutely great.
That was a stroke of genius,
especially when you see the alternatives. It's like when you saw that, go check out like the other ones that they could have went with instead, and you're like, yeah, that's a clear winner. It's one of the greatest pieces of graphic art ever created, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was truly fantastic. And then we have Bellerophon the Deserving, who says for $10, Trian's spending is very focused. Restore the Magic Pot full to page 2 color ads in the New York National Digital editions of the Wall Street Journal on March 21st, page A5, March 22nd, A51 or A5, A5 1, I guess, and March 23rd, A7. That's very specific information right there. So we thank you and we wish you the best of luck. And yeah, I absolutely believe that Trian's spending is focused, and most of the 7 million spent is Iger really burning shareholder value right there. That's what I'm inclined to believe. And thanks for the support. Ace 1589 2001 has been a member for 10 months, and we thank you, and check back for member stream tomorrow to be set up and sent out to members. Satorius says for £5, I'm rewatching the 80s and 90s and replaying old games that are great. I cannot stand new movies and games. Wokeness kills creativity and freedom. Yeah, I can't blame you there. I mean, a good movie from the 80s and 90s, games even more so, pretty darn fantastic, especially like some of those 16-bit titles at the end of the pixel art era. I mean, that's like these modern day 3D multiplayer. Get the fuck off my lawn. That's all I'm going to say about that. And Abduello says another $2 saying Bethesda did to Fallout what Disney did to Star Wars. Yeah, that's a fairly apt comparison. I understand from my friends in gaming. And Subdub says for $2, they need to leave 2 horror movies alone. Tuck and roll. Tuck and roll. Okay, yeah, well, leave Tucker and Dale alone as well while they're at it. And Rambam3000 says for £5, check out Lord Monkton's talks. He's very informative. Not familiar with any Lord Monkton, but shall add it to the list. And then we have That Park Place coming in towards the end here. Things have been a little nuts for us these days, but I just want to stop by and say thank you for the support, guys. Hail Midnight's Edge. Oh, thank you, everyone. Be sure to check out That Park Place, our friends and brothers who we, of course, stand behind in their fight against nefarious consultancy companies and everyone else wanting to take them down. Going to be a crazy week to come as well with all things Disney. So yeah, looking forward to talking about it with you guys. Going to be great fun. And with that, we are almost caught up. Changer of Ways Beep Up Boop says for $5. Replay gang here just got Paul attributing BG3 to Bioware. Blew my top. Larian did it. Bioware is dead. Follow the people, not the brands. Well, I think Changer of Ways may be a little bit behind in the stream because we have covered and corrected that. But thanks for the support either way. And Paul has duly learned who is behind what by now. So thanks for that. And with that, we are all caught up. So we should have Toxic Femininity later tonight, should we not, Tom?
In fact, yes, we have Grums coming on Toxic Femme tonight, and he will be on the show Wednesday with us as well. So come hang out with us for that. We're going to talk all the gaming stuff going on, the Kotaku news, all that stuff that I don't know anything about. So that's why we're having Grums come in and talk about it with us. And we may even have some more guests on Toxic Femme pop up tonight. You never know. But yeah, with all
fun topics there as well. So yeah,
I believe so. So it's going to be interesting and fun. And also hope to see everybody on the member stream. The member stream will be tomorrow morning at the same time we do the typical stream. So keep that in mind.
Indeed. And with that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.